Hey everyone, and welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into a technology that promises to do something pretty incredible: decode the unfiltered thoughts of your customers. I mean, seriously, think about it. What if you could actually read your customers' minds? It's the ultimate goal for any business, right? To know what people really want, not just what they tell you in a survey. To get to that true, unbiased intent, well, that's the holy grail. And that's always been the big problem. Traditional methods like surveys or focus groups, they have biases. And social media? Well, that's a performance. People are curating an image. We're capturing what people say, not what they're truly secretly thinking. But that's where search data comes in. Think about it. When you type something into a search bar, you're not trying to impress anyone. You're looking for an answer. You're trying to solve a problem. It is, without a doubt, the most honest, unfiltered record of human desire on the planet. So, a platform called Listening Mind has set out to harness this gigantic, unfiltered voice. What they do is take all that raw search data from places like Google and Naver, South Korea's biggest search engine, and they have figured out how to turn it into actual usable intelligence. All right, so before we jump into the really cool AI analysis part, it's super important to understand what it's all built on. Let's take a quick look at the raw data itself and who's already using this stuff to get ahead. And listen, we're not talking about some niche tool for startups here. We're talking about global giants: Samsung, LG Electronics, major banks, the biggest advertising agencies in Korea, Japan, and the US. They are all already using this to find their competitive edge. So, how does it actually work? How do you take this ocean of search data and make sense of it? Well, Listening Mind uses a few core tools to help you visualize everything. Let's break them down. Okay, it really comes down to three key things. You've got the Intent Finder, which gives you that 30,000-foot view of the whole landscape. Then there's Pathfinder, which literally maps out the step-by-step journey a customer takes. And finally, Cluster Finder, which is all about identifying different customer tribes. The Intent Finder can show you these fascinating patterns almost instantly. So, for example, look at this comparison between people searching for the next Samsung Galaxy versus the next iPhone. It is a massive generational divide. The Galaxy searches, they skew older. We're talking 30s, 40s, 50s. But the iPhone, it is completely dominated by people in their teens and 20s. Just that one insight alone is absolutely critical for a marketing team. Now, Pathfinder is where it gets really, really cool. It literally maps out the exact sequence of searches someone makes. So check out this journey. A person starts with a broad search for gaming PC, then they pivot to gaming laptop, then they get worried about gaming laptop lifespan, and finally they search for a recommendation. You are literally watching their decision-making process unfold in real time. And then you have Cluster Finder. This thing is awesome. It shows you the main reason people are searching for a keyword. So for a huge term like ChatGPT, look at this. A whopping 86% of all searches are purely informational. People aren't looking to buy anything. They're looking for how-to guides and tutorials. Right away, that tells a company their content strategy needs to be educational, not salesy. Now, see what happens when you compare to competitors. The tribe searching for ChatGPT is already in a how-to-use-it mindset. They're looking for APIs, tutorials. But the tribe searching for Gemini, they're in a totally different phase. They're searching for comparisons to ChatGPT, for news, for updates. They're just trying to figure out what it is. Two completely different user mindsets laid bare in seconds. So look, these tools are undeniably powerful. You can see the maps, the clusters, the journeys. But let's be honest, staring at a complex web of lines and dots can be, well, a little overwhelming. You kind of have to be a data analyst to immediately see the story, right? And this brings us to the real game-changing question. What if you didn't have to interpret all those charts and graphs yourself? What if you could just ask the data a question in plain English and get a simple, clear answer back? Well, now there's an answer. Listening Mind has been integrated directly into ChatGPT. This basically gives you a senior data analyst on call 24/7, ready to dig into this huge database of human intent and just tell you what it finds. And I mean, just look at the kind of prompt you can give it. This is a super complex, strategic question that you'd normally give a whole market research team. You're asking for user paths, pain points, what brands they look at, what their purchase intent is. This is stuff that used to take weeks of work. And in minutes, the AI comes back, not with a messy spreadsheet, but with a synthesized report. It tells you the most common path people take. It points out that EV subsidies is a critical turning point. It even quantifies that only about 15 to 20% of people who start broad actually end up searching for a specific car model. It's not just data, it's actionable intelligence, on demand. And what's really slick is that the AI is smart enough to pick the right tool for the job. You can just ask it to compare search patterns for the Apple Vision Pro and the Meta Quest 3. It knows to use the cluster finder. And then it comes back and tells you, plain and simple, Vision Pro searchers are early adopters worried about price and reviews. Quest 3 searchers are beginners looking for games and deals. Two totally different customer profiles defined instantly. So let's bring this all home. In our final section, let's just think about the huge implications of this and how it could completely change the way businesses understand their customers. This really does change everything. The speed is it's mind-blowing. Research that took weeks now takes minutes. The accessibility means you don't need a PhD in data science anymore. You just need to be curious. And maybe most important of all, it democratizes this kind of high-level intelligence. It levels the playing field so smaller businesses can have the same insights as giant corporations. Which leaves us with one last really big question to chew on. If this technology becomes common and suddenly everyone can know exactly what customers want, what happens then? If knowing is the new baseline, the real competitive advantage won't be having the data. It'll be about who can act on it the fastest and the most creatively. Definitely something to think about. Thanks for joining us on The Explainer.